respond. That's good. And I can get from Susan whatever I don't have.
And I feel like we have a big crew on now. I feel like most people are probably on. So we are going to get started because my name's Anita, and I'm going to be leading you through today's presentation. So welcome. I have started I have planned for 12 hours of training, and we're going to get through as much as we can in 2 hours of training. I'm really excited that you all are interested in being tutors with Literacy Volunteers of Kanawha County. Some of you may be interested in working with what I call a basic literacy student, which is an American-born student who has troubles and challenges reading and writing. Some of you may be interested in working with an ESL student, English as a second language. And that's with students who are from another country and have found their way to West Virginia, and they need to improve their English speaking and listening skills. So for we have two different types of students. One who generally works on reading and writing, the American-born student, and one who generally works on speaking and listening, the ESL student. Now there's commonalities there, and it depends on your students' goals on what they want to do. It may be all four of those: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So we're going to kind of tackle all of those needs in the next 2 hours. It's a lofty goal, and we're going to do the best we can. I think our main goal today is to just get you up and running because we have such a need, and we want to meet that need, and we want to get you busy and involved as soon as possible. Sound good?
Yes.
Just a real quick about me. I'm from Pittsburgh. I started my journey in literacy and adult literacy. Yes.
Are you recording?
I think so.
Yes, you are.
I am. Okay. I started with family literacy in Fort Myers, Florida. I worked with kids and with adults doing GED and ESL. I then moved back home. My home is Pittsburgh. And I worked for, it's called Literacy Pittsburgh now. And I got to work with, again, GED, ESL students, and I did the tutor training. So I brought that tutor training here. I'm currently working as a kindergarten teacher, and I am at Piedmont Elementary. And this year, because of COVID and everything that's going on, I'm an e-learner teacher. So I am doing all of my instruction online with 5-year-olds. And it's going well. I am loving it. And I think my students are engaging and learning. So I'm excited to kind of share some things that I've picked up there and, working through all of that with you. That was probably too much, but let's keep going. We have so much to do. I am more casual. I welcome feedback. I'm so glad you have your cameras on. Thank you so much. I'm looking at all of you and I feel like, okay, people are there and they're listening to me. And certainly if you are comfortable keeping your camera on, I welcome you to. I think we need that. We need to know we're connected with other people and there are other people interested in the same things that we are. So I think it helps, not only does it help me, I think it helps you as well. If you are uncomfortable or if you have things going on, feel free to turn off your camera. I mean, I want you to feel comfortable. If you need to go to the restroom, if you need a snack, do what you want to do. This is all here for you as you need. I think the proper etiquette for online learning is to keep your microphones off so that we don't have little background noises that can be distracting. However, please let me know. And I think someone has their hand raised. The other issue is that with my online learning, I don't use Zoom. We use something called Schoology. So this is kind of, I know how to use it, but it's a different format that I have to get used to. So who is this? Do you have, and I can't see your name, do you have your hand up? Does somebody have their hand up? No, okay. If you do, just shout it out. If I miss it, just shout it out. And I see there's a kid here today too, so hi kiddo. Let's see, how do I go to my next slide? Here are, oh, someone's waiting to be admitted. Okay. Some of our goals. The other issue is I don't have a clock on my phone, on my computer. So if I lose track of time, let me know. Here are our goals. I want you to walk away understanding that you and your students are team members, your partners in the learning process. We're going to do what our students want. If they say they want to pass the driver's test, then that's specifically what we're going to work on. If you have a phone ringing, please mute your microphone. That's kind of the reasons why we want to keep those microphones muted.
Yeah, I have to find the microphone.
Yeah, I'm a stickler. I'll call you out. Anyway, whatever it is our students want to learn, that's what we're here to help them with. You know, I said that basic literacy students, those who are American born, often want reading and writing. That's their biggest need. But I've had students that also say, I want to sound smarter. And they want to work on their speaking as well. And you know what? That's great. That's what we want to work on. English language learners often sometimes have the reading and writing down because that's what they've learned in formal school. But they may come here, you may find students who aren't that good at reading and writing. And so you'll need to do more of that. I mean, it's kind of just feeling through with your students, having conversations, and working together to best help them. I want you to learn how to meet your students' individual goals with lots of different educational strategies, textbooks, and supplemental materials. Especially with adults, you find that different things work for different people. And so, it's a lot of exploring, and it's a lot of troubleshooting and trial and error to find out what works best for your student. What books, what activities, so trying lots of different things to help your students. Using multisensory instruction. I think in general in learning, I'm going to talk about this again later, but we've often said that students, you're either a visual learner or an auditory learner or a kinesthetic learner. And you know what? You're everything. You need all modes of instruction coming towards you to best learn something. So we want to keep it multisensory. We want to keep them moving. Even online, we need to provide lots of different modes of instruction. And I want you to start thinking about how to prepare these lessons for your students. We're not going to have a whole lot of time for that in this session, but we want to think about, for a basic literacy student, we're thinking about that reading and writing. And we're going to talk about these 4 circles. They're word identification, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency. That's for basic reading and writing. And then for an English as a second language student, again, it's that speaking and listening. And I'm gonna touch on all of this for all of those students, even though it will be quick. I can send you all of my slides if you are interested. We can do in-services in the future to kind of dig in a little bit deeper. But we do just want to kind of get your feet wet and get you busy, because part of teaching also is just doing it, right? A lot of it is just kind of like digging in, starting that conversation with your student, and start exploring and finding things that you can do together. If I were to do, I kind of want to go into this because I want you to see how much there is to learn about teaching, about tutoring a student. If you were taking the ESL training, we would be talking about culture shock, how an adult learns a language. I think a lot of our students still adults, BA and Susan. are we having a lot of children that went on? Okay, it's mostly adults. Good. I think that the kids are getting enough screen time in their daily life that to put another screen instruction in front of them would just be too much, if you ask me. So we're going to be talking mostly about adults in this venue. For ESL students, we'll be talking about teaching vocabulary, using dialogues, teaching grammar, pronunciation, reading, writing, and this thing called LEA, which I hope we get to, which is the language experience approach. Again, I want to say the emphasis with an ESL student is on speaking and listening. I even welcome you to say that right now to yourselves. The emphasis for ESL students is speaking and listening. Speaking and listening. We want to give them lots of opportunities to use their voice. Because when you think about learning another language, when you go to that other country and you want to ask, where's the bathroom? You need to practice saying that over and over again so that you feel comfortable and ready to do it in real life. I just want to stress that, okay? I have to move this. If I were doing the basic literacy tutor training for American-born students, we would be talking a lot about how struggling adults learn, because a lot of our students have learning differences, learning disabilities. I want to talk a lot about direct instruction, which is an explicit teaching tool or strategy for helping students. We talk a lot about the reading process, which are these circles that I'm going to show you. It's a Venn diagram of word identification, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency. We talk about writing, and again, that LEA, language experience approach. Now, what we're really going to, and the emphasis for those basic literacy American-born students is reading and writing, right? So ESL is speaking and listening, get them talking. Basic literacy students is mostly reading and writing, okay? What we are going to do today, there's no way we're getting through all this. we're gonna get through what we can though. And I want to get you excited about tutoring. That's my main goal. I want you excited and ready to learn more about being a tutor. We're gonna do some introductions. We haven't even gotten to introductions. We'll get there. We're gonna talk about that adult learner and learning differences. Because I'm going to argue that, some of our ESL students may have a learning difference. We don't really know. All I know is that as an adult, it's hard for me to learn. And so I'm coming from that approach that other adults also have a hard time learning. We got a lot on our minds, so it makes it harder for information to stick. So I want to kind of stress that. We're going to talk about direct instruction, because it is a strategy and a tool that will help any student. And I have a couple of activities that we're going to do to practice direct instruction. One is called the Ameris exercise. The other one is called backwards reading. And you all got the handout on email that was backwards. And yes, indeed, it was meant to be backwards. Because we are going to see what it feels like to struggle reading. We're going to do, and then we're going to talk about how to teach reading. We're going to talk about, but with an emphasis on teaching vocabulary, which is what both ESL and basic literacy students need, and an emphasis on comprehension. Because when we talk about comprehension, it's the same technique. It's the same teaching technique, whether it's reading comprehension or listening comprehension, which is what ESL students need, listening. We're going to talk a little bit about writing, and that's the part we probably won't get to. And I hope we get to LEA, language experience activity. If we don't, we can do it another time. We can see each other again. Sound good? Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. That helps me. I know that Susan's going to talk a lot more about Literacy Volunteers of Kanawha County, LVKC, at the end. Real quick, we were founded in, I have to move my thing, 1982, right? 1982, serve about 25 students. I know that was like 40 students for a little while. I know we've gone back down because of the pandemic, but you know, approximately 25 students. We teach ESL. We help students with the TASK, which is the high school equivalency test, which is used here in West Virginia. GED is a name brand. So this is the GED that is used in West Virginia. And just basic literacy. I mean, whatever it is that our students want, that's what we work on. And then we are branching out to serve children as well. So maybe after the pandemic's over and you really want to help a child succeed in school, that's another way you can help out and volunteer. Okay, this is my favorite part. We're going to meet you. So let's go around the room. Maybe, and you know what? I'm having a hard time because I can't see your names. BA, are you able to see people's names, or do you know who everyone is? Or Susan? We'll figure that out. Okay, when it's your turn, please tell, we're gonna keep it brief because we do have a lot of information, but I'd like for you to tell us your first name and a goal that you have as an adult. For example, I'm Anita, and one of my goals as an adult is right now it's to find like cute little songs and finger plays that I can do with my kindergartners online to keep them engaged in their learning. But let's go around the room. Let's start with Jack. I know Jack.
I can't hear anything.
Oh,
Jack,
no,
you're
Jack.
muted.
One of the things you can do about muting is just hold down the space bar on your computer and it unmutes it. My name's Jack McGann, and I've trained literacy volunteers to teach adults to read. That was our main goal for many years, to help adults who could not yet read. And I've had several students, but mostly I've been doing training of volunteers. Right now I have 2 Syrian older men, one's in his 80s and one's in his 70s, and they're trying to learn to speak and listen better.
Awesome, thanks, Jack. Let's see, Nala, could you go, please?
Yes, my name is Nala, and my goal for the future, I hope, is to be able to continue to live abroad part of the year. That's causing me a lot of anxiety, and to be frank, that's one of the reasons I decided to join this group. I think this will be really good for me. Would you like more information, or is that enough?
Right now, I think short is good.
Okay, good. We're done then. I'm done.
Thank you, Nala. Well, I found a list of names, so I would like to go to Janet next.
Okay, I'm Janet, and I taught Spanish in high school and at West Virginia State. I've lived in Brazil for 3.5 years, so I know what it means to learn a second language. So I'm interested in teaching people to speak English rather than another language.
Right. Thank you, Janet. Kathleen.
Yeah, my name is Kathleen, and my goal is to sharpen my hand sewing skills. I find that calming in these difficult times.
Awesome. And I've seen Nala knitting too, so feel free to pick up your needles while you're watching. Leslie.
My name is Leslie, and I'm a retired college teacher, and I enjoy teaching, and I want to continue to do that. And I worked with international students for 10 years at college, so I really know their need. And I lived outside the country for a couple of years, so I have felt that anxiety when you can't speak.
Super. All those personal experiences help in your teaching. Right on, right on. Amy.
Hi, Hi, I'm Amy. I currently live in Hungary, but my roots are in West Virginia. So my goal is to learn Hungarian. And I'm hoping to learn some skills about how to learn Hungarian by learning to teach others English.
Super, super. BA.
Okay, well, I'm BA. I'm multitasking right now because I work 2 jobs. My immediate goal is to have one of those jobs end. A secondary
nope.
goal is that my other job is serving 2 families of asylum seekers who are here in Charleston, and I'm hoping to find lots of tutors from this training who can work with my clients.
Awesome. Barbara?
My name is Barbara Tabaretti. I am a retired speech language pathologist from Kanawha County Schools. This is my first year of retirement, and I'd still like to keep active in the helping profession of being able to help people. I have had an experience of working with teaching English as a second language. For a couple summers, Kanawha County Schools had sponsored a camp for children and adults at a middle school, and I participated in that and really enjoyed it.
I can't imagine being a speech pathologist this year in school. Good time to get out.
Well, yeah, the last 9 weeks was not a pretty scene, but we survived.
Yes. Good. Carol.
Good morning. My name is Carol Johnson.
Can't hear.
Your microphone's kind of scratchy.
Now?
A little better.
A little better. Okay. I was with Kanawha County Public Library for 21 years, and that was my first when you all sponsored a literacy collection there. Once I got my own medical library. Now is to help the youth by, teaching them how to read so they can save themselves, save their families, and save their community.
We heard it came in and out a lot of Carol, but I got the gist of everything.
Okay. Just trying to teach the community how to read so they can do better.
Super. Thank you, Carol. So CDYESS, are you still there? Would you like to share anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes. What is your name?
My name is Cheryl, and I don't know why that is CDYESS. Duh.
You're here. That's all that matters.
Okay, can you hear me well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a retired English as a second language teacher. I taught adults for 30 years.
Super. Thank you, Cheryl. Glad to have you. Maria?
Oh, that's my wife's name.
Oh,
yeah, my name is Bob, and I'm just semi-retired and just exploring things I want to do for the rest of my life.
Super. This is it. Douglas.
Hey, I'm Douglas Soul. I'm a journalist at a new news source here in West Virginia called Mountain State Spotlight. I guess the goal would be to write something longer than the articles I'm writing now and publish a book sometime in my life. That would be pretty cool.
Very cool. I see George. Melissa, is that you?
Yes, it's
George.
me.
Okay.
It's me. I'm Melissa Homan, and I'm president of Literacy Volunteers of Kanawha County. I used to be a tutor. I was also a special assistant to special ed students, and I just want to return back to community service of giving back and teaching again, with tutoring again.
Awesome. Hold on. Didn't I already? These are getting out of order on me. Come on. Is there anybody else that we haven't heard from?
Me, Susan.
Susan, come on.
Okay, I'm Susan Kepler. I'm the one who talked to all of you on the phone and sent you all those emails. I've been with Literacy Volunteers for, we think, about 14 years. I've had 3 basic literacy students. I'm currently tutoring one over the phone. She started out in the Charleston area and then moved to McDowell County that has no programs. So we've been tutoring over the phone for several years. My immediate goal is to try to keep LVKC going during the pandemic. We were doing really well until the pandemic hit. And then most of us being retired were afraid to tutor in person. We decided to try to go virtual. So this is a great experiment to see if we can pull it off. I'm really happy to meet all of you. You have a lot of talent, a lot of enthusiasm, and I think you're going to help us save the program.
Thank you, Susan. She's done so much, for sure. Janet Zerby, is that you?
Yes, that's me.
I apologize. Please tell us about yourself.
Okay, I'm Janet Zerby. I'm really excited to see Leslie Bacher on here because I've known Leslie for a long time and I've kind of lost track with her. So I'm glad Leslie's here. But anyway, I've been a literacy volunteer tutor for on and off. I was a board member formerly. And I really admire the people here since this is mostly an all-volunteer organization, and it's been able to survive all these years on a shoestring, which I think is pretty impressive. But anyway, my goal is just to survive the pandemic and figure out things to do and keep up with friendships and family. So that's my immediate goal.
Super. Thank you, Janet. We have one other focus who came on the phone. So if you're on the phone, could you tell us your name?
This is Brenda Gurney.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi. I just feel that I want to update my skills and keep myself fresh during this time in the area of tutoring. I'm not tutoring at this time, but I have had several students over the last few years. I've been working with literacy now for a while, about 10 years in the office and in various roles on the board. So anyway, good morning.
Thank you, Brenda. And is there a way that you can mute your phone at all? If possible, that would be nice. But if you have a question or a comment, please then unmute yourself.
All righty.
Okay, let's dive. I think we've got everyone, right? Okay. We're going to dive in now. We're going to talk about who is an adult learner. And this is mostly just to kind of like remind ourselves. And I know that that you come with this, but again, I just want to emphasize, that we are working with all different kinds of people and that you never know who's going to be an adult learner. You never know who it is that's struggling with their learner, and keeping ourselves open to all different kinds, working with all different kinds of people. What if you had poor literacy skills, right? How would that affect your everyday life? I welcome you to comment, turn on your microphone and comment.
Well, it's very difficult to be able to read like a recipe, instructions on how to fix something or to put something together. If you can't read, you can't do a whole lot of anything else. Pretty much. You're very limited.
A whole lot of things to help yourself, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's hard to interact with official government offices or even at the library or anything. Because you need to be able to read the forms and fill them out.
How overwhelming. It's already overwhelming. It's already really hard, but to have low literacy skills makes it that much more paralyzing. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Quick example of what happened to my student that emphasized the importance of reading to me. She was caring for her 2-year-old nephew, and he got sick. And she couldn't read the directions on the cold medicine. So she called me.
We're getting to that, Susan. Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell us that story in just a minute, because we are going to get it. Anything else?
Well, if you don't speak English as a first language and you come to this country, you want to be independent, and you're not. You're dependent on other people to do things until you're able to establish fluency.
Who are some of those people that or what are some of those places or people that they need to be able to communicate with?
With your doctor?
Yes.
Particularly. That's very important.
Yes.
School.
School.
Yeah. Stores, yeah.
Looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Employer.
Yeah.
These are the things we want to keep in mind. These are this is what we're working with our students. It's everyday living kinds of stuff. You're going to be looking at your own life in a whole new way and kind of breaking it apart. And what little skills do I need? What vocabulary do I need when I interact with someone at the bus stop? When I go to Kroger at the checkout? When I meet with my doctor? When I see my neighbor? Those are the things that you're going to be working on with your student. The everyday mundane stuff. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, for me, this is Leslie. I lived in the Netherlands and in Sweden, and I had family and support there, but I didn't, through my marriage, but I didn't speak the language. And just socially, I felt at a total loss on how to operate among people who cared for me. I mean, it was that simple. I mean, I had support and I was struggling.
It is very isolating for our students. Yes, both ESL and basic literacy, right? They feel like they can't reach out and do things that they may want to do, but they feel limited and self-conscious of that.
Yeah, joining other community organizations like church or volunteering would be difficult because there's a basic level of expectation of reading.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I always think of this basic literacy student. She was, I'll probably get into this later, but she was so well put together. You would never know that she had a problem reading. And for her, she was very active in her church, and she would go to Bible studies, and she would want to participate, but she would always forget her glasses or have some excuse ready because she was so self-conscious about her reading. Now, I mentioned church and Bibles, but we are not a religious organization. And so if your student has that goal and that is something that you also have an interest in, go for it. If not, don't do it, right? We'll find a better match, or we'll find other things to work on. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. Again, we're student-centered. It is what our students are interested in learning is what we want to help them with their learning. And we want you to be comfortable as well.
Well, I'm Nala, and I have a little bit of a different take on it because I came to this country at the age of 26 and I had no English skills at all. But because of the reason I'm telling you this is we have to take into consideration the individuality of the student. I had to teach myself 8 hours a day with a dictionary. The reason being, I knew if I didn't learn how to communicate and read books that I wouldn't be able to live here. It was not an option. It was just out of the question. And I had to also explain to myself that someone who is already familiar with the alphabet has a leg up already. Therefore, if I have a student I'm tutoring who is not familiar with the Latin alphabet, I have to be also understanding because that's a double whammy.
We're going to do an activity just for that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Nala. What's the strongest, here we go, Susan. What's the strongest predictor of your health? Not your income or your age, but rather your literacy. People with low literacy skills have 4 times greater annual health costs than those with high skills. Why do you think?
Well, you can't take in a lot of information. You can't read the newspaper. It's
What's
very
going
difficult.
on with COVID? How's the best way to protect yourself? There's so many different ways. You got to be able to find not only the news source and read it, but the right news source and read it, right?
That's
There's a
true.
lot of
Yeah.
double whammies there. Yeah. What else?
You can't read the medicine bottle. So you can't try, like if you have a cold, you can't go to the store easily and find the cold medicine because it's all written. And then to find, even if you figure out which one is the cold medicine, you then have to figure out how much to take and how often and what the side effects could be. And if you have any complications, you may not even know how to identify. If you have diabetes, it may say something like that on the bottle, but you wouldn't be able to read it. So you have to be very careful about what you take, which would impact your health outcomes.
Well, I have a different angle on this, and this is coming into the forefront in the picture right now because of COVID. Isolation causes a person to just psychologically deteriorate. And the shame of not being able to know what's going on it's a great burden on people. And a lot of suicides, as I understand right now, is because of isolation. So I would like to have this parallel between the pandemic and actually not knowing how to read. There is that strong psychological component to it.
Yeah, another problem, when I lived in Brazil, I did not speak Portuguese, nothing. I had 2 children. I had a baby. And so when I went out to shop, I didn't even know the numbers. And when they would tell me what something cost, I just had to hand them some money and hopefully they would figure it out for me. So till I learned to speak the language, I couldn't shop or do anything.
Anita, can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
You cut in and out, but try.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking about how when I have medical issues, I have the ability to go on the internet and research it. You got 3 levels: 1, how to read and help yourself, and then the next level to consult with the physician. And people that can't read can't do it. What's out there? They have to depend on.
You cut out a lot at the end. You like start off strong and then it like cuts out. But yeah, being able to research what's going on, right? Right on. Susan, did you want to share your story about your student now?
Well, I think we've covered it. The basics were that she could not read the directions on the package of medicine. And that was very frightening. What she ended up doing was screenshotting it and sending it to me. But that's a little thing that could have turned into a very big problem just because she couldn't read the directions.
How great that she had you to be able to have someone to screenshot it to, right? And help them out. You'll see a good thing to do with your students is have them bring in their mail and make sure that they understand their bills, make sure they understand what's coming at them and what they need to pay attention to, right? And that's for ESL or basic students for sure. I am going to keep us going. The other issue with this is that most Americans read at an 8th or a 9th grade level. 20% read at just a 5th grade level or below, 20%. However, most healthcare materials are written above a 10th grade level. So in general, most Americans can't understand what we're reading when we get information from the doctor. But it's even harder for our low-level students. And we want to make sure that they can understand things. And we also need to probably educate our medical professionals on how to speak to us so that we can understand as well. And as many as half of all patients fail to take medications because they don't understand the directions. I always tell a story about a woman whose daughter had an ear infection and she went and got the prescription filled. And then the next day she was back and said she needed a refill. And the pharmacist said, I filled this yesterday. How could you possibly need more? And she said, well, when I tried to pour it, it was a liquid medicine. When I tried to pour it in her ear, it kept dripping out. But if she had read the directions, she would have known it was an oral medication, right? So there's things we can't take for granted, which we're also going to talk about with our students. Let's keep moving. Here are just some general quips about adults in literacy programs, adults that we see. Certainly they're heterogeneous and diverse. We have all kinds of students, all kinds of people that have literacy issues, and being open to work with anyone. They bring a wealth of knowledge. Hold on, I gotta keep moving my thing. They bring a wealth of knowledge to the learning setting. Maybe they haven't received schooling from A to B to C to D, but they've picked up things here and they've picked up things here, and they've got this great sense of life that has let them thrive through life. And what we wanna do is we wanna build upon those things that they're good at. Find the things that they're strong at and then build upon it and make connections between other things, because they come to us with a lot already. And we want to celebrate that as well. Students may be more or less motivated to learn based on their life situation, right? So I have to figure this out. Some people may go, oh my God, my life sucks because of X, Y, or Z, and I need to change it to make it better and easier for me. Other people may be going, my life is hard, and it's hard for me to find time to work on myself and make it better for myself. And that just affects people different ways. And I think one of the reasons I want to bring this up is because our students come to us ready to learn and wanting to learn, but the reality of life doesn't always let that happen. And so sometimes students quit, and it's not your fault, and it's something that might happen. And I ask for your patience as we find you the right student who's ready. Now, when I think about this, how many times do I start a diet and not follow through on it, right? Like it's hard to stick to a goal. How many times do I say, I'm gonna learn Spanish, I'm gonna do it, and like I'm good for 3 weeks and then I fizzle. And our students are the same way, right? It's hard to meet a goal. So just keeping that in mind as well. The good thing is that our students want this. They want to learn, they want to solve problems. So they're an amazing student to work with. I love working with adult students. You're not gonna have a kid who's rolling their eyes at you. I know a little bit about this. You're gonna have an adult who wants it, and they're so appreciative. And so it is a really rewarding thing to work with an adult student. So when we find you that right student, you're gonna love it. Cool. Adults in literacy programs. Okay, they want to use what they learn immediately, and they need to learn what is most important. Our students, our students needed this information yesterday, right? So when you are working with your student, think about it and plan lessons that will help them with information they can use now. And if they can't use it now, don't do it. If you're like, I really want to teach my student all about the rules of tennis. I love tennis. I think that they would love the sport and they would get so much enjoyment out of it. But if your student doesn't like tennis, don't do it, right? Do something that they can use now. Our students are likely to have uneven skill sets. Also kind of goes with they're likely to have gaps in their knowledge or even misconceptions. So again, our students I'm thinking of our basic literacy students, but they haven't gone through school from A to Z. They've kind of had to like pick up some things here and there. And so sometimes you think, oh my goodness, they know this all the way over here. That doesn't mean that they have everything in the middle. It means that we need to go back, take a few steps back, ask some more questions, dig a little deeper, and make sure that they really understand everything along the way, because they can fool you. They don't mean to fool you, but you may think that they know something and it's just a little off, right? And they may have a misconception or not understand something fully. So please take a few steps back and fill in those blanks. And also understanding that our students may have a learning difference or disability. So it may take longer to learn. It's going to take a lot of repetition and review, which is something we all need. I mean, when I try to learn something, or even if you just tell me something, if my husband tells me something, and then later he goes, I already told you that. And I go, you did? Because I don't remember, because I have too much going on. I'm worried about a million different things in my head, so things slip. And that happens with our adult students, no matter who they are. So we need to constantly review and repeat.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One other thing about adult students is that they aren't going to waste their time if they don't feel they're succeeding. So you need to plan your work so that it is not frustrating them. You need to make sure they get a certain amount of success in what they're doing in order to keep them at it. One of the biggest problems with literacy students is they don't stay in the program because they get frustrated.
Right on, right on. And so you know what? Try to teach less in a lesson. Make sure that what you teach them is succinct and can stick. So it's a lot of repetition. And I'm going to do an activity with you just a minute, and you're going to see, like, you may think at times, am I repeating too much? Is it getting boring? And I'm going to show you that no, it's not too much, and that we need that. And it helps us feel successful and feel like we're actually going to get the information. When we race through something, they don't get anything at all out of that, right? And then they're going to quit. I'm going to talk real brief about learning differences. Just keeping in mind that your student may have a learning difference and that it takes a little bit more time. I'm actually not going to go through that. This is the information processing model. You can ignore any pages, any page numbers that you see. Again, I stole this from my previous job in Pittsburgh, and we had a little manual that went with it, so you don't need those. But if you just look at, I want to point this out about how we learn things, how our brain kind of works when we learn. The first thing we need is along this left-hand side, it says attention. We need to get our students' attention. When working online with students, you know, I'm sure you're having this right now. It's hard to keep your attention. It's hard to keep you engaged. And so we need to try to do some new things with students. One of those ways to get their attention is visual. And certainly with my kindergartners, this is a big one. I want to highly encourage you to always have a visual available for your students as you're working with them. And it can be really simple. I have a PowerPoint with words and stuff in the background. If it was just my talking head this whole time, I'd have lost you a long, long time ago. Having something will be very helpful. So, and it's pretty simple to put together a Google Slides or a PowerPoint, and using lots of pictures. I wish I had more pictures in this presentation, but you can go and do a quick Google search for an image, and just having a picture there will give them something to kind of focus on. It'll help them zone in on the information that you're going to teach them. It'll provide conversation. It might spark some speaking from your student as well. Visual, 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 please, please. Yes, someone has their hand up.
Hey, Anita, where will the students be when they're interacting with us? Because everybody won't have access at home to internet stuff.
So I'm going to ask BA and Susan about this. Would most of our students have a device at their home? Are you finding that?
Yes, we're only accepting students right now who have computers or some kind of device and Wi-Fi. We had to specify that in all the PR material that we're doing to recruit students, because during the pandemic, we really have no choice.
Yeah.
So they will all have something, or they will not be enrolled in the program.
Okay, because I was thinking about visuals and different skills using visual stuff, and I wondered what kind of access they would have. Okay, thanks.
Certainly, so visual, we have obviously auditory, we're talking with each other. Tactile means touching, and kinesthetic means doing something. I would highlight, the thing with teaching lessons online is that you need to be more prepared than when you meet with a student one-on-one. You need to think out a little bit further in time. This is my experience teaching kindergarten right now, is that I need to think out, while I usually maybe could think out a week ahead of time, I need to think out a month. And really for me, it's 9 weeks ahead of what I'm gonna do, because I wanna be able to get them materials that they're gonna need while we work long distance. Now with adult students, that can be, you know, being able to get a document to read ahead of time, making sure if they need to print it out, because reading from a screen and reading from paper, for our students, paper just may be a little easier. So making sure that we can get them those materials. There are some things you can do to move papers around, to move letters, to make words, to move sentences, to put things in order. There are different activities that you can do that you may want to get those materials to them to keep it multisensory and engaging and get their attention. If you don't have their attention, then how, I mean, you can't get any information in their brain. Executive processing, that means like, oh, the phone is ringing, oh, the lights are buzzing, oh, I'm getting distracted by a million different things. And your brain is kind of processing, you know, what is necessary to pay attention to while I'm trying to learn reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And then we're making all kinds of associations. All this new information is coming into us, and we have to tag it on to other things that we already know, right? We're going to build upon what they already know so that they can make associations, because that's how we learn. And then we want to make sure that they know it by some sort of motor, which could be, you know, writing, to see that they're writing and that they're understanding things, or by saying something verbally. So we need to see some output. Asking them questions, having them create something or write something is a way to make sure that they're learning. And then of course, at the bottom, there's that memory. We always have to remember, we have to put things into our short-term memory, and we need to keep seeing them in our short-term memory until they get into our long-term memory. So there's just a ton going on in the brain, and in the adult brain, it's just harder. Not impossible, but harder. Okay, so how do we do this? There's all this going on inside of an adult head. What do we do to be successful in teaching our students? Well, we want to keep it multisensory. We want to keep them moving and doing and engaged as much as we can. And some of that is just getting a pencil and writing for our students. We want to repeat and review, right? Every day you're going to review what you did the last time you were with them. And we want to connect this new information to what they already know. I'm already repeating myself a lot. I don't know if you've noticed. I notice, because I've done this before and I know the content. You probably don't even notice, because you need to hear it over and over again to get it in your brain. It's just part of learning. I'm not saying, am I saying anybody's dumb? No, I'm saying this is what goes on in an adult brain, right? And we're going to use direct instruction to do this. Direct instruction. That's what I'm going to teach you now. We have 2 activities that we're going to do to show you how direct instruction works. I'm going to teach you to be teachers, right? Direct instruction has 4 steps. If you want to take a note, this is a place to take notes. This is a slide that I would suggest you write down. The first step of a direct instruction is you tell students what they're going to learn and why they're going to learn it. We want to just tell them, I'm going to teach you vocabulary about going to the grocery store, about the dairy aisle in the grocery store, because I know that you struggle to find the right yogurt for your recipe. We're going to learn this grammar point today because it will help you when you want to tell your doctor symptoms you've been having, right? So we're going to take this like mundane skill and we're going to tell them this is how it affects your life. Because when they know, oh, this is going to help my life, this is going to help me, I'm going to perk up, I'm going to listen. It also shows them that you're thinking about them and what they need. If you can't make a direct tie-in to their life, don't do it. Find something that helps them now. We're going to explain and demonstrate what good is. So we're going to show them this grammar point, this pronunciation. We're going to show them the direct language that they're going to use or reading skill and show them how to do it correctly. The third step is guided practice with feedback. So we're going to be there with them when they practice. And this is a time where we get our red pen out or we correct them. We make corrections as necessary so that they practice it the right way. And then the fourth one is independent practice with generalization. So we're going to let them try it all by themselves, maybe with a new scenario, but we want to see that they can put it into practice. Now, I'm going to make this easier. Now, step number 1 is what and why. We want to tell them exactly what it is they're going to learn it and why. Step 2, I do. I do. Step 3, we do it together. Step 4, you, the student, do it all by yourself. So step 2 is I do, the teacher. I show you what good is. I do it. Step 3, we do it. Teacher and student work together to practice the skill. Step 4, you do it. You, the student, do it all by yourself. I do, we do, you do. I just taught you everything I learned in education school, right? I do, we do, you do. Okay, but let's see what that is. Let's practice. And you're going to see this slide again. I'm going to repeat it again so that you learn it. Okay. We're going to do this Ameris experience. I'm going to show you Nala. I'm going to show some foreign letters. Now, if you know the Cyrillic alphabet, pretend that you don't for the practices of this. And we're not learning Russian or any language. It would be gobbledygook. It's using Cyrillic alphabet and making it sound like American words or English words. We're going to see what it's like to not be able to read something, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, here we go. Read it. Oh, Janet Zerby, do you have a question? You have to unmute.
No, I don't.
Okay, you have your hand up. You have like a little hand up.
Okay, all right.
So anybody can read
this?
this? Hopefully everybody will tell me no.
Mm-hmm.
Just pretend no. Well, I'm going to teach you how to read this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you see my cursor when I move my cursor? Okay. This
Yes.
is a boy. Say boy. This looks like a boy. Say boy. This, I lose my cursor all the time. This is a boy. Read boy. Boy starts with the sound B. Say B. And again, B. Okay. Remember that. This is a ship. Say ship. You're lucky I'm not making you have your microphones on, huh? This looks like a ship. Say ship. This is the word ship. Say ship.
Ship.
Ship starts with the sound sh. Say sh. And again, I appreciate you, Jack. Thank you. If you want to turn your microphones on, you go for it. This is a ladder. Say ladder.
Ladder.
This looks like a ladder. Say ladder.
Ladder.
This is the word ladder. Say ladder.
Ladder.
Ladder starts with the sound oo. Say oo.
Oh.
And again,
Oh.
something I haven't done this in a while, but I've forgotten to have you repeat. So, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me the sound that this letter makes.
Oh.
Oh.
What sound does this letter make? Shh. And this letter. Please read the word for me.
Boy.
Boy. Ship.
Ship.
Ladder.
Ladder. Very good. This is a chair. Say chair.
Chair.
This looks like a chair. Say chair.
Chair.
This is the word chair. Read chair.
Chair.
Chair starts with the sound ch. Say ch. And again. Tell me the sounds of the letters. Start here.
La.
I'm going to say oo. And read the word.
Boy.
Boy.
Ship.
Ship.
Oh, ship.
Ladder.
Ladder.
Chair.
Chair.
I love mistakes. If you make mistakes, it makes my point so much clearer about adults learning. So please, we all make mistakes. Here we go. Here is a rope. Say rope.
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 This looks like a rope. Say rope.
Rope.
Here is the word rope. Read rope.
Rope.
Rope starts with the sound and again. Tell me the sounds of the letters.
Ch.
La. And read the word.
Boy.
Ship. Ladder.
Chair.
Rope.
Rope. Very good. So here we're doing, I started with I do. I taught you the information. We do, right? I'm right there with you, telling you when you're right and wrong. Okay, we're going to put it into sentences. Okay, so here we have, read this word.
Boy.
Boy. Now listen as I read the sentence. Well, no, read this word.
Boy.
Boy, right? So they match there. I'm going to read the sentence. This is a boy. Read that with me. This is a boy. Okay. Read this word.
Ship.
Ship. Read this word.
Ship.
Read the sentence with me.
This
This
is
is a ship.
ship.
Read this word.
Ladder.
Read this word.
Ladder.
Read the sentence.
This
Is a ladder. Read this word.
Chair.
chair.
Read this word.
Chair.
Chair. Read the sentence.
This
Is a chair.
chair.
Read this word.
Rope.
Rope. Read this word.
Rope.
Rope. Read the sentence.
This
Is a rope.
chair.
Okay, I'm gonna make it harder. I'm gonna take your cheat sheet. I'm taking your cheat sheet away. Okay, this is what I showed you at the beginning. We're gonna read this together. Now, first, read this word.
Boy.
Boy.
Read this word.
Ship.
Ship. Now listen as I read it. This boy has a ship. Read with me. This boy has a ship.
Ship.
Okay, read this word.
Boy.
Boy.
Read this word.
Ladder.
Ladder. This boy has a ladder. You want to try that again together? This boy has a ladder. Good. Read this word.
Chair.
Chair.
Chair. It gets harder, right? Let's read this sentence together. This boy has a chair.
Chair.
Good. Read this word.
Rope.
Rope.
Read the sentence together. This boy has a rope. Good. Okay, one paragraph down. We're going to read the next one. Are you ready? Okay, read this word.
Boy.
Boy. Read this word.
Ship.
Ship. Now listen as I read the sentence. This boy is on a ship. Read it with me. This boy is on a ship. Okay, read this word. Ladder. And what was this word?
Ship.
Ship. Let's read this sentence together. This ladder is on a ship. Good. Read this word.
Chair.
Air. And this word?
Ladder.
Ship.
Oh, ship. Sorry.
That's okay. Let's read our sentence together. This air is on a ship. Read this word.
Rope.
Rope. Can you read this sentence on your own?
Yeah.
This
Rope
Is on a ship.
Yeah.
Good. You did it. You did it. Yay. You remember, will you remember it tomorrow?
No.
No.
Homework.
Homework. We would repeat it again. We would repeat it again. So let's talk about it. Well, we'll keep this on. What was it? Really, my first question is like, how did you feel when I first showed that paragraph and said, okay, read it?
Overwhelmed.
But what was it? And we're not going to go into all that just because of time. What was it that helped you learn to read it? Right? Because you all read it by the end.
The repetition.
Repetition. I mean, it was only 5 words. It was only 5 words. And I even had the cheat sheet out in front of you to kind of refer back to with the pictures. And it was still hard. We still needed that repetition. Was it too much repetition?
No.
For most of you, I bet not. I bet not. What else? What else helped you learn how to read that?
The pictures with the first character. That was helpful.
Association.
Yeah. I mean, did it really look like a boy? I mean, I don't think so, but it's something. It's something to refer to. That little picture, and I'm going to talk about this if we get to it for comprehension. A little picture just helps you kind of like focus on something, kind of brings, it could be about unicorns and puppy dogs, but when we see that picture of a boy, and I know I went the sound buh, like it just kind of brings you in. What else happened?
Saying out loud helped.
Yes, yes. And that's multisensory, right? If I was just like, read it in your head or just listen to me, when you do it, you're going to learn it better. Yeah.
One of the things we used to emphasize is that when you're working on the letters themselves, just the pronunciation of the letters and introducing them like that, it's not good to do too many of them at once. It really gets people's brains fogged if you work on a lot of.
Maybe 5 too many. too many. We want it smaller so that they really walk away knowing it, right? And then we'll build upon that next time. Right on, right on. Was I nice to you? I hope so, right? That's a big part. We want them to feel comfortable. And I was probably a little meaner to you than I would be with a student, because I also feel crunched for time right now. But you know, we want them to feel comfortable. We want them to feel comfortable making mistakes in front of us, because they're going to learn from that. And when we know what mistakes they're making, it helps guide our instructions. We go, oh, I got to slow it down. Oh, maybe that's not working. I got to find a different way to get them that information. So mistakes are fine, right? They learn from the mistakes and we learn from their mistakes. So the first thing, let's go over this direct instruction. What and why? I wanted to go through that experiment, that lesson, so that you first learned about direct instruction and felt what it was like to be an adult learner, right? Explain and demonstrate, show what good is. So I would show you the letter. I would go through the whole thing with you before I then said, okay, you know, I did it. The next part was the guided practice, where we did it together, right? I was right there with you while we were reading the sentences, so I could tell you if you did it right or wrong, so you practiced it the right way. Now, independent practice, I probably didn't do too much of that. You know, at the very, very end, I said, okay, you read that sentence all by yourself. But maybe for homework, maybe at that point, they're ready to now read something different with the same letters in it that we just practiced. So independent practice can also be homework. Use the time that you're with them for guided practice, and then let them practice on their own for homework. You get very limited time with them. And online, your lessons may even be a little shorter. Like 2 hours for this with you is probably too much. So with your students, it's going to be small chunks. Maybe you do a half hour twice a week, right? Keep it short. Or an hour twice a week. Just saying. More time's better. Let's see, how do I go to the next one? We want it to be multisensory. We got them speaking. You could have them point to the words as they're reading it. Pointing is fine. You know, your teacher said, don't run your finger under the line. I don't care. If it helps them read, then they can do it. We're going to repeat. We're going to review. We're going to connect it to what they already know, right? Those pictures help connect it to what they know. We're going to use direct instruction. Let me do a time check. I like these exercises. I think they help with both ESL and basic literacy, so we are going to keep going with them. We're going to go to that backwards reading. So if you were able to print this out, I think that's best. I'm going to project it on my screen for you, but it's harder to read on a screen than it is on a piece of paper. So if you can get them the paper to read, that would be good. If not, you have your screen, but that's why I want you to think and try to plan ahead. Okay, here we go. Get out that backwards reading. Let me see if I can figure out. Oh, let me see if I can figure out how to get that on my screen. Hold on, I think I did it. Hold on. There it is. Do you see it?
Yeah. Yes.
You see this though too? I don't want that. There we go. There. Why is this here? Guys, I'm struggling. What did I do?
It looks fine.
It's on the screen.
It
It looks good.
The backwards is on the
It's
screen.
backwards.
Yes, Anita, you got
Okay,
it.
so never mind. I don't see it, but you got it, so we're good.
Yeah,
Okay. So I have my paper in front of me. I hope that you have your paper in front of you. I welcome you to mark it up with your pencil or whatever you need to do. Did anybody read this ahead of time?
Yes.
I read part of it, yeah.
I wish you hadn't, but that's
Oh.
okay. Let's see. Would anybody like to read the first paragraph out loud for us? Now, honestly, I would, because of time, I'm not going to do this, but I would let my student read it silently before I ask them to read it out loud. it helps them kind of work out some bugs, helps them, you know, feel more confident reading it out loud. But would somebody like to read that first paragraph out loud for us? And if you struggle, I will thank you a million times over.
Okay, I'll try to read it. I didn't read the whole thing, but I've read part of it.
Just
okay, Mark and Cynthia live on a little lake in the city. The lake has two paths that go all the way around it. One path is for walkers and the other path is for people on bicycles or rollerblades. It is 3 miles around the lake.
Super. She did a great job. How long did that take you to read? With the first
How long did
right?
Well, I didn't read the whole thing the first time. I just read the first couple of lines when I printed it off.
Did your mind want to explode?
Yeah, when I first saw it, I'm thinking, what is this?
Yeah. I mean, if you're really like, if this is the first time you're looking at it, when I do this in the workshop, people give up and they like get so frustrated with me because it's really hard and it hurts your brain.
Right.
What was this about? What was that first paragraph about? Not Janet, someone else.
About a lake. 2 people live there, and there are 2 paths that go around it, one for people on wheels and the other for walkers.
Very good. Very good. Did you read it ahead of time?
I did not.
Oh, very good. Very good.
I had a feeling you weren't supposed to touch it.
It is very hard to not only read it, but then to understand it after that, right? To just get through the words is a big feat, but then to really understand it is another one. How about that first line? Mark and Cynthia live. Did anybody read that as evil?
I did the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because what we already know comes in to the new things that we're trying to learn, and it can sometimes trip us up a little. And the font. How about that font? If I had a different font, it might be a little easier as well, right? So it's another thing to think about. Like with my kindergarteners, I make sure that any font that I put in front of them, the A doesn't have that like top on it. I want it to be a round A. So these are the kinds of things we also need to think about with our students. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
But wouldn't they run into that anyway in various iterations?
So you may be like, well, they're going to see all kinds of fonts in all different ways, so I want to prepare them for that. Yeah, eventually, but at the beginning, we want to make sure they're successful. And the point of it here, at least for this assignment, is I want you to comprehend and understand what you're reading. So I want to kind of also, there are times when I want to prepare them for what they're really going to see, and there are times that I want them to be successful, or it kind of depends on your goal for the lesson and their needs and their interests. So yeah.
I think the other thing too, when you're teaching like a language, you don't give out a lot of information. You have to do it gradually. And you have to repeat it constantly to learn it.
Yes, yes. So right now I'm giving 3 paragraphs. Depending on the level of student, I may only give 1 paragraph in the lesson. Yeah. We're going to do all 3. Well, just for the sake of time, guess what? When you have, not only is the passage backwards, the questions are too. It doesn't change.
Okay.
Right? And that's the real world. That's what our students are living with. So who can read the first question for me?
Where are the questions?
We don't see questions.
We still see the
questions.
Okay.
There are no questions.
Hold on. Let me figure that out. Hold on here.
Excuse me.
There we go. So I'm going to take away, does anybody not have the backwards? Okay. Then I'm just going to show my PowerPoint for now. Hold on. Okay, so you see my PowerPoint, right?
Yes.
Now you see the questions are backwards, right? Okay.
Right.
Who would like to read the first question?
I will. How far is it around the lake?
Very good. How far is it around the lake? Now, I'm going to tell you that's in the first paragraph. So
Right.
go in your first paragraph and underline with your pencil the evidence of how far it is around the lake. And when you know, raise your hand. Or just
3
tell
miles. 3 miles.
3 miles. Where did you find that?
The very last sentence.
The very last sentence. It is 3 miles around the lake. So go ahead. That should be underlined. I just did it on mine. Right. Okay. Good. Next one. Who wants to, different person, read me the second question.
When does Cynthia jog?
When does Cynthia jog? That question is answered in the second paragraph. So go ahead in the second paragraph, see if you can find when does Cynthia jog? And I don't remember.
Cynthia gets up early every morning and jogs around the lake before something.
Before breakfast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Before, it's hard to read those words and you're on the spot and I'm saying, do it now, right? It's
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if the next word was relevant. I thought the first part of it had answered it, so I stopped, but yeah. And that
No,
word was hard.
which is great, because it's hard also, like, that's a really difficult skill for our students. You'll see summarizing. Tell me about this. They'll go on and on and on and on and give you like all these other details. And it's like, well, that's not as, so they're not really understanding what the gist of it is. So that's something important to work on with students. So go ahead, and do you see where that is? Every morning, which is about three lines down in that paragraph. Go ahead and underline that. You know, and this is also, I mean, this is fact finding. This is part of our culture now, right? Like, not only do we want to teach them comprehension, we want them to understand what they're reading, what they're learning, and is it this, you know, is it the right information? Are you going to the right sources for your information? And to think about it. Okay, third question. Who would like to read that out loud for us? Someone different. Bueller.
Yeah.
Who would like to read that?
I will.
Thank
Is
you.
the boat rental near the playground or the rose garden?
Very good. Very good. It's hard to read from a screen too. I mean, and just want to say that again about our students. Like, if you can get paper in front of them, it helps. Go ahead. That answer is in the third paragraph. I always struggle with this one. I got thinkers. You're thinking.
It's near the rose garden.
How do you know that, Amy?
At one end of the first sentence is at one end of the lake is a rose garden and a boat rental.
Very good. Isn't that very first line. It's, I don't know what it is confusing. It's like 3 different places and 2/3. I don't know, there's like math involved or something.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
are
know.
4 of them.
But it is, you're right. It's near the Rose Garden.
Anita, by the 3rd paragraph, I was having trouble with the A's. And I don't know whether it's because earlier you said the font, I don't know whether that sat in my head now that the font was going to be a problem because it became one. But I had a lot of trouble. Just all of a sudden, all those A's were jumping out at me.
So maybe I said too much.
I don't know.
You know, that's the flaw of the teacher too. Like, we want to make sure we keep it as simple as possible. Thank you for pointing that out. And that's something you start to pick up, or you find different things that work for your student or don't work for your student. Super. Thank you.
So maybe it's unhelpful to warn them that this might be difficult. You should just wait and see if it's difficult. Because maybe by mentioning that it might be hard, you make it hard, or make them pay attention to something.
Maybe, maybe not. Because I remember, silly example, going to a yoga class. And before the yoga class, the teacher said, this is going to be a challenging class. If she had not told me that, I would have been cursing her out the entire time in my head. But she told me that, and I was able to kind of prepare myself and tell myself, this is a challenging class. If I can't do anything, it's okay. So I don't know. I think, or like someone like, it's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy for you. So like, be gentle with yourself too if you don't get it.
Yeah, so a general warning maybe is better than a specific one.
Sometimes, I think. Again, I mean, it's a lot also about the relationship between you and your student.
Anita, another factor I noticed, the questions were easier to read because the print was bigger.
Right.
Bigger. Okay. Yeah. So you, again, like thinking about that font, thinking about size, thinking about what will best help your student succeed. Because at the end of the lesson, we want our student to feel like they have succeeded in what was put in front of them, and that they've gotten something out of it. So yeah.
One of the early things you want to do, I think, is make it clear to the student that it's okay to make mistakes. In our culture, people are so afraid of making mistakes. I see it in teaching science a lot, because in science we learn by our mistakes. And so we make it clear to people that making mistakes is a good thing because we learn from them.
Huge. It's huge. I see it in my kindergartners too. They can't make their letter properly. I mean, some of those kids, they beat themselves up over it. They get so upset. I have a puppet. I have a turtle puppet. His name is Stanley Marvin. And Stanley Marvin, he makes mistakes all the time. Oh, he can't do it. And we're always talking, Stanley Marvin, it's okay to make a mistake. You're learning from your mistakes. Yes, Jack, and it's probably 10 times worse for adults, right? Because we don't want to look stupid or make a fool out of ourselves. And so you are that safe person that they can come to and make a mistake. And you're that person that's not going to laugh at them, but is going to help them and give them the language that will help them feel more confident out and about. Right on. So let's talk about this direct instruction. Direct instruction. I gave you this. What is it and why is it important? This is going to, I probably should have told you ahead of time, you're going to be reading about Mark and Cynthia who live on this lake, and you're going to learn about the lake. Because that would have helped you read it a whole lot better. I didn't want to do that. I wanted you to struggle. But we don't want our students to struggle, right? I mean, we want to give, and it's as simple as that. This is about a community with a lake. And we're going to learn about the lake. We're going to explain and show what good is. So I probably should have read this out loud with you before I had you go and read it all by yourself, right? Maybe guide and demonstrate, or guided practice could be I read a sentence and then you read a sentence. I read a sentence, you read a sentence. So we go back and forth and we share that responsibility. Also, the guided practice was, here's our question. Let's work together to find the answer. And if you can't get it, I'm going to give you a hint. It's in the first paragraph. I'm going to say, well, let's read this sentence. You know, like I'm there to kind of scaffold is another education word we use to build that success, right? So that they can find those answers. And then independent practices, I'm going to give them something else to read for homework and try it on their own. And it's going to be shorter. Okay? So, and something they can succeed at. Okay. Guided direct instruction. Explain what and why. I do, we do, you do. Okay, let's see. Review. I'm not going to do this. I have about 15 minutes. Can you believe it? I have about 10 minutes because then I want to get Susan on to talk to you about what happens next. Let me think. We're going to skip that. For teaching basic literacy students, we have these circles. I talked about these circles a bit ago. Here they are. It's word identification, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. And when you have all of these work together to be a successful reader, we need to be able to read the words that are in front of us. We need to have the vocabulary and understand what those words are. We need to be able to put those words together into sentences and paragraphs and understand the gist of the information. And then we want to be fluent in it. We want to be able to read with accuracy. We want to be able to read with speed so that we can fully comprehend what we're reading. I want to focus on vocabulary and comprehension. That was kind of my goal for the rest of this training, which I had a feeling we wouldn't get to, because those are important for both our ESL and our basic literacy students. So I know that you're meeting again on Monday. You're going to be talking to other tutors who are currently tutoring. I want you to maybe ask them questions about what they do for vocabulary with their students and what they do for comprehension with their students. I'm going to go through these quickly with you. Teaching vocabulary. Now, with a basic literacy student, it's in their reading. They're reading something, they run across a word they don't know. What do they do? How do they help themselves learn the vocabulary? How can you help them improve their vocabulary? Because that's a huge one for our students. They haven't been reading, so they've been missing out on expanding their vocabulary. I once had an adult student say to me, I feel like you're cussing at me all the time because I don't understand what you're saying. And I don't think I have a huge vocabulary, but that's just the vocabulary that he was coming with, you know? For ESL students, of course, they need vocabulary, and you want to teach it within the context that you're focusing on. You may have a lesson on going to the grocery store or going to the doctor, and you want to pick out some vocabulary words to teach them so that they can use them in that situation. My first question to you, how many vocabulary words are you going to teach in one lesson?
Probably no more than 5 to 10.
Lower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carol? 3 to 5. Small, small, small. You want to teach them everything. I know you do. I know you do. And they want to learn it all, but you give them three words. I mean, come on, I couldn't do it. If I'm learning Spanish, no way I'm going to remember those 3 words tomorrow. So it's small. It's small, okay? That's your big take home, small. The vocabulary that you teach should meet the topic of your lesson. Make it, fit it into a context so they know how to use it and it's usable in their lives today. some things I'm just gonna, how to teach vocabulary. When we teach vocabulary, we want to convey the meaning. We want to make sure that they know what the word means. We want to check for their understanding, and that's real quick. It's like a yes/no question, which we're going to go over in just a second. And then we want to consolidate their learning. So we want to have them use it in a personal way, relevant to their lives. Okay, so convey meaning. For a low-level ESL student, maybe we're talking about an apple. How are we going to make sure they know what the word apple is?
Show them an apple.
We're going to bring in an apple.
Yeah.
We're going to have a photo of an apple. We're going to draw an apple. Whatever. You're going to do it. And I think Zoom now seems, at least when I logged in here, it had like a whiteboard. So can you draw in Zoom now? Can you like use that whiteboard, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think you can, yes.
That is fantastic. Learn how to use that, optimize that whiteboard with your students. You can get them writing, you can write, and it makes it much more interactive, multisensory. Someone is honking outside. Oh, someone, look at Nala. Look at you, Nala. Maybe it's sneeze. What are you going to do? You're going to sneeze, right? You're going to show them a picture. You can go on Google. You can get sound bites. You can, it takes a little bit more work, but you can do it. Here's a higher level word, boring or discouraged. Now, I could pantomime boring. But what do you think that could be?
Sleepy.
Sleepy. So pantomime isn't foolproof, right? We gotta convey it different ways to make sure they really get it, right? Nala, I'm gonna take that away from you. We might want to tell stories, right? A time when I was bored, a time when I was discouraged, so that they really understand what it means. Using dictionaries. We want to make sure that our ESL students are not overly using their dictionary and using it as a crutch. We want to make learning active. And so we want to make sure that they're thinking about it, not just running straight to Google or running to a dictionary, but thinking and making those connections, and we want to help them do that. Other methods, and again, these are good for our basic literacy students, talking about synonyms and antonyms, using context clues, talking about word parks, prefixes, suffixes, roots of the word. Those are great for ESL students as well. When we check for understanding, we want to ask a question that shows us that they really get it. The question cannot be, do you understand? Because they will say, yes, right? So we need to think of something a little different. For example, and again, we can use pictures. Are these apples?
No.
No, right. So we'll see right away if they get it. And it's just a quick check. And then finally, when we talk about apples, we want to ask them open-ended questions about it. Can you buy apples? Do you like apples? What's your favorite apple? What do you like to make with apples? Right? So we play with it. We keep using it. Okay. We're not going to practice. We're going to teach idioms. ESL students, we're going to teach the whole idiom as one thing. So these idioms are all about, what's our context here?
You can't translate it literally.
You can't. All of these are about what kind of topic. What's our topic? If we look at
doctor's appointment, medical.
Health.
Yeah.
Right.
Gosh, it looks like someone's really sick, right? And going to the doctor. So,
Right.
And how horrible idioms can be. go under the knife, right? I mean, it's
Right.
splitting headache. I mean, you know, so we would want to teach those again. We would want to convey the whole meaning of that whole phrase with our students. And we're not doing more than 3. My gosh, idioms is like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
This is something you don't even realize about English. These phrasal verbs that we have, they're a verb and a preposition that work as a team. So like ran across, hang up, drop off, pick up, they go together, and we can split them too, which makes it even more, like drop you off. So again, we want to teach those as a whole phrase, a whole team. That's a higher level. If you have a higher level ESL student or a basic literacy student, this is another thing you could do. These are called quadrant charts. Usually in the basic literacy, we talk about Nelson Mandela and apartheid. And so here we have, like, you put your important word, here it is, apartheid. We would talk about some synonyms for apartheid, some antonyms, and then make some personal associations with the word. So it's a way to kind of, again, dig in deeper with that word, get a deeper understanding of it so that they walk away really knowing the word. And they can keep these. It's just like you just take a piece of paper or half a piece of paper and fold it in fourths. And then they have them, right, as little study guides to go back to. Right, I'm from Pittsburgh. These are Pittsburgh E's. Do you teach West Virginia words to your students? BA? Are your students staying here?
Yeah, they're going to stay here. They need to learn them. And when I moved to West Virginia from Alabama, I could not understand anyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have people, like if you have a West Virginia accent, I'm not saying anything bad about a West Virginia accent, but you're going to have students who are going to start speaking with a West Virginia accent because that's the pronunciation that you're teaching them. And that's great because we also want them to understand what people are saying to them, their community members, what they're saying. So yeah, you're going to be teaching, if they're staying here, then yeah, you'll want to teach them these things. And should you teach slang? Should you teach dirty words? Depends on your student, right? It depends on what their goals are. If they're like, I need a job, I need vocabulary and language skills for my job, then no. They want to make some friends. Yeah. I mean, this is part of being human and connecting with other people, and that's what language does. So yeah, depends on. It's
important. At least it's important to know words that are like warning words. You tend to pick up on those pretty quickly, but if someone's really angry with you and using slang or dirty words, then it's important for them to know that, to recognize that like the situation is really escalated and you should be careful. Or words that could be misinterpreted if pronounced incorrectly. As someone living in a foreign country, it's like, I found it really valuable when people would teach me those words because it was really hard to find them on the internet in general, because people didn't want to talk about them. So having a safe space to like play around with these words is really important.
Right on. Can I tell you a story? I know I'm running out of time, but it's a good one. So there was a tutor and a student working together, and the student comes late to class and he's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so late. I just had a little car accident. And the tutor goes, oh no, are you okay? He's like, I'm okay. But you know, the other driver got really mad at me. It was probably my fault. And he's like, he stuck his middle finger up at me. And she goes, he did, like, that's not good. Whatever you were doing, like, don't do it again. Like, watch your driving. She's like, and she said, he flipped you the bird. And he goes, okay, he flipped the bird. And so the librarian, they were meeting in the library, and the librarian, he was telling the story, the student was telling the story to the librarian, and he goes, and then he threw a bird at me because he mixed up the idiom, right? They didn't go through those 3 C's. They didn't review it enough. right? For him to stick to it. But it's part of, and they want to use them, right? It's just, it makes you, so you don't sound like a textbook, but you sound like a human being, right? And that's part of it. Okay. Now, here's what we didn't get to. The next thing I wanted to talk about was comprehension. Can I take 5 more minutes? Guys, do you mind? I would just go ahead really, really quickly. Comprehension. We're going to skip a bunch of this. I had some fun facts for you, but this is important. This is important. Okay. So this is what you do to make sure that somebody understands something when they're reading. This is important if you're doing a listening activity. So you can use it with students for any kind of comprehension when we want to know that they are understanding what they are reading or what they're listening to. Before we have them read or listen to something, we need to prime the pump. We need to build them for success. This is pre-reading. We want to look at the title. We want to look at the pictures. If you're going to have them listen to something, throw up a picture. If you're going to have them listen or read something about monarch butterflies, put up a picture of a monarch butterfly. If you're going to have them read something about Halloween coming up, then put up a picture of it, talk about it, get prior information, prior knowledge, pre-teach vocabulary. So you're going to read it before you go to class, or you're going to listen to it. You're going to pick out 3 to 5 words that are important to understanding the passage, and you're going to pre-teach those words to your student. You're going to spend 20 minutes on pre-reading before they read or listen to something. You got to build them for success. Then we're going to pull it out, what they're going to read. And, the length is going to depend on the level of your student. Listening activities could be you reading something to them. It could be finding, there's all kinds of stuff online, English language learning, listening passages. So you can pick one of those out so they hear a different voice, which is also really important. And you're going to let them read or listen to it. While they're reading or listening to it, we want to give them a focus while they're listening or reading. Whether it's like, look for these facts, tell me about X. I want you to tell me why, what the author was trying to say. You need to give them something to focus on while they're listening, and a question, know what the question is that you want them to answer at the end. When listening, let them listen more than once. Let them listen 2 or 3 times, because you get a lot more the more you listen to it. Reading, let them read it silently before they ever read it out loud. Build them for success. And then post-reading is asking questions, asking them to summarize, making sure that they really understand it. This is important. Take notes. Pre-reading or listening, pre-active reading or listening, post-reading or listening. Build them for success.
Could you send us these?
Yes.
Could you send us some of these slides?
I sure can.
Yeah, that would be good.
We're not going to get to this. Yeah, I can send you this whole thing. And then maybe we can meet up another time. We can talk about language experience. I have a ton of stuff on here on lesson planning.
Okay. It would be good to meet again.
We can always meet up again.
Is there like a stockpile, for lack of a better word, of material that you have, that other tutors have used that you would recommend for us to start with when we're doing lesson plans?
So the office, are you able to get into the office now?
I'd like to
No.
answer that if you all will be part of a website that I have and am still putting loads of resources on. So there are lesson plans, there are videos, you'll have a ton of stuff. And Monday we'll talk more about that because that's part of what I talk about on Monday.
Okay, good.
BA, can you put this presentation out there? Can you put
Yeah.
that way we don't get our inboxes overloaded and we can actually go get it ourselves?
Yeah. Yeah, we can put that in the document library, and as soon as these trainees are put into the system, they'll have access to it.
I also wanted to just bring up newspapers, magazines. This is all fodder for your lessons. You're going to be reading the newspaper in a whole new way, even circular ads. You get math, you get reading, you get critical thinking. I mean, this is the stuff you want to use. As well as, you know, if you can find a textbook that kind of guides you in grammar, that I feel like textbooks are really good for that. But we want real life, you know, have them bring in their mail. Talk about pictures, write stories about pictures. I mean, and you got the internet, so you can like find funny pictures or, you know, photographs, have them bring in pictures of their family to talk about. You know, you want things that really, especially with ESL students, that will spark conversation to get them talking.
And I've always joined a Zoom group. I've never used Zoom to teach, and I'm impressed that Naya knows how to write. Hi, Google. You know, does anyone recommend one special place to go to learn how to use Google or learn how to use Zoom?
Well, if I owe you all an apology. Those slides that I was going to get banned because of, it's because it's trying to get out of it. So
it's fine. No, it's fine.
Anita, this is Barbara. I hate to interrupt. I have another Zoom meeting at 12 o'clock. So if I miss anything, will you give that information to me somehow?
I'll just post these. I'll make sure that BA has the slides and we'll get all, so you can go back on that. But Susan and BA, isn't there a, didn't we record how to use Zoom training from a few months ago?
Yeah, those are on our YouTube channel. And after this training, I'll send all of the links, all of the documents out so that everything is accessible. So I just want to say, you're going to have everything you need. You don't worry about it. And if you think there's something you need that you don't have, then I will give you my contact information. You'll ask me and I'll get it for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Your thing.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Janet Thurby.
I'm going to turn it over to Susan now, so Susan can kind of talk to you about organization level things and next steps. And I want to thank you guys for your patience as I like yammered on. Please let me know if you have any other questions about instruction and I can try to help you. But go ahead, take it away, Susan.
Well, what happens next? Well, the first thing that happens is the Monday meeting, and everybody should have gotten a link to that. If you didn't get it, let us know. That will be some of our veteran tutors who have been struggling to convert to virtual tutoring. They will give some tips, what's worked, what hasn't. And of course, everybody can ask questions and chime in. So that'll be from 7 to 8 Monday on Zoom. After we are finished with the training sessions, you will be matched with a student. That process could take up to a month. When students enroll, we give their names to one of two people who do our testing for us. They are learning how to do online testing, so it might be a little slow. But after they test the students, everyone will be given a student, and then you are in charge of contacting that student, deciding what platform you want to work on, and coordinating times for your lessons. That will all be up to you, but you'll get all this in an email. You may wonder where we get our students from. We do newspaper ads. We try to get stories about us in the paper. We work with various community organizations, social workers, agencies that refer clients to us. We get clients from a variety of places. Of course, we don't always get a certain number of clients at a certain time. So it could take up to a month or even a little more until you get a student. We currently have 4 ESL students waiting for tutors and 1 basic literacy student waiting for a tutor. We work at Recovery Point and Recovery U. They're both addiction recovery centers. We do that as our part of helping the community effort in the fight against opioid and other addictions. You will get messages from BA or I how to log your hours into our data management system. Everybody has to file their number of hours once a month. We use this when we do surveys with our national umbrella organization. We use it when we're applying for grants. It's very important that you keep your hours every month, that you tutor and you prepare for lessons. And we will explain to you how to enter those in our new database. That's what BA has been putting together. What we'd like to do is start monthly meetings with our tutors. This would be a chance for people to ask questions, talk about problems, exchange ideas, successes they've had. We will start setting these up. Of course, they're not mandatory, they're up to you. You might not want to attend every month, but sometimes you may want to. We'll get that set up and get that information out. We will also provide in-services during the year. Special topics, perhaps how to work with people who have gone through trauma, how that might affect your ESL student. If your student is a refugee or an asylum seeker or even an immigrant, we'll talk about cultural sensitivity. We'll do one on working with recovery students. Various topics that we think might be interesting to you, and we'll let you know about these as they come up. We also have forms that we will send you. There are certain things that your student will have to agree to. One of the main ones is a privacy form. All of our information with our students is confidential. And they need to know this because some people are uncomfortable with community and maybe even family members knowing that they are taking literacy or learning to speak English. So confidentiality is very important. We will get you all these forms. We're in the process of converting things to online. A lot of our old forms don't apply anymore because we're all teaching virtually because of the virus. We do have an office in the First Presbyterian Church, downtown Charleston. but our office has been closed since March because of the pandemic. Normally, you can copy things in our office, copy material for your students. Right now, we can't do that. So we'll try to get as many of these resources to you online. I think that's about it. We'll have more information on the nuts and bolts on Monday. And of course, you can always call or email me with questions. Is there anything else I've missed that we need to go over, Anita or BA?
Sounds good to me. Does anybody else have any questions, burning questions? Okay. Well then, thank you. Thank you for being tutors. Oh, I hope you enjoy it. I think you will. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, contact the office, Susan, BA. We're here to help you, and just have fun. Have fun with it. Enjoy your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Wait a second. You don't want to use that office contact number because nobody is there to answer the phone and we haven't been able to figure out a way to have them ring through. So Monday, I will give you, I'm working from home, as is everybody. Monday, we will give you the current contact information, which is my home and Anita's home. We'll give all that to you Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you all Monday.
Thank you, thank
Very
you.
good.
See you on Monday. This has been fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks, thanks, thanks.
Janet, we'll have to catch up.
Yes,
Okay.
I can't wait.
Oh,
All
hi,
right,
Leslie.
take care.
Hi, Bob. Good to see you too.
Yep, yep.
Bye, everybody. See you Monday.
Bye.